Hey guys, what is going on? It's Coach Will, and in this video here, I want to answer a question from a client who's asking about a SOP, a standard operating procedure, for selling memberships for a BJJ or Brazilian Jiu Jitsu gym. So I'm going to go ahead and screen share here and show you this question here from a gym owner in our program, Mike Armento. He's a CrossFit box owner, but his gym also has a Brazilian Jiu Jitsu gym inside of it or within it, or that he owns or partners that is part of his offering. And he's saying here, hey everyone, this might be a long shot, but does anyone have a sales SOP for a jiu-jitsu gym? I have one for my CrossFit gym, and it works great, but I'm a few months away from jiu-jitsu opening, and I'm realizing that the NSI experience will be a little bit different. Figured I'd ask the group. Thanks, Mike. Yeah, so Mike, in answering your question, and for everybody else watching, because I know we will get this question again because I've gotten it before, the process is the same. If you've ever been to Thailand, there's a whole saying in Thailand that goes same but different, and we say it here in the States here as well, is that it's same but different, meaning that conceptually it is the same, but in the micro or in the details it is different, right? So that's what I would say. And so if we were to go over structure wise what this means, I guess I would refer back to a conversation I had with another jiu-jitsu gym owner that's in our program, because we now have several martial arts and jiu-jitsu gyms in our program that are growing, and a lot of them get a lot of leads using our stuff. Then they'll have struggles on the conversion side of sitting down and converting them. And I would say for jiu-jitsu gyms, that's probably actually a little more challenging than a CrossFit gym, for example, only because you're dealing with people that right now jiu-jitsu is growing very, very fast, and a lot of people are interested in it. But there is the whole internal conflict of having to put hands on other people, and other people putting hands on you, and the risk of potential injury, even though there may not actually be a too much of a risk. People perceive it as risky because they watch the sport of jiu-jitsu, and they watch things like MMA, and they see people get hurt, and they assume that that's what's going to happen to them in the gym, even though in the gym, having been someone that has done jiu-jitsu himself, knowing that it's relatively safe, and that for the most part you're learning and you're sparring with each other, but not in a way with the intent to hurt each other. So people sometimes are conflicted with that, especially casuals who maybe are fans of the sport and want to try it themselves, and maybe don't have an athletic background, and are a little bit shy of bodily contact. So that is something to overcome. Now, in regards to the structure, but I had a discussion with the gym recently. We did a one-on-one call with a gym owner recently who's in our mastermind, and they asked us the same question. Hey, we have people coming in, we have leads coming in, we have people showing up, but our close rate is only about 30%. 30% of people that walk in the door. And I was like, wow, that is much lower than we're used to seeing. And so I got to asking them a question, and I guess I'll go through those questions here so you can kind of triage this for yourself. But I asked them hey, are you doing a proper sit down, consultative sales approach? And they said, well, we have a desk, it's right next to the door, and when people walk in, the desk is right there, and they walk in the door, they turn and face the desk, and then we start having a conversation. We ask them if they want to sign up. And I said, okay, well, let's change that. Let's have a space in the gym that's dedicated for sitting down, get them past that entryway of the door, right? Because if someone's standing in the entryway of the door next to the door, they are, it's always within arm's reach, right? There's kind of that thing where you're halfway in the door. You haven't really fully gotten into the space. You don't really feel like you're in the space. You're kind of in the entrance. I said, get them away from the entrance, pull them away from the entrance, bring them to a space either, away from the desk in the far corner of the room, where they can walk past the space they're going to be training in, right? That's always very, very important. Take them kind of on a tour, hey, yeah, you're here. I'm glad you're here. Generally these people are people that came in through a scheduled booking, right? Ideally. And so they're here for their appointment, and hey, welcome. Hey, while you're here, go ahead and fill out this waiver, right? Right when someone walks in the door for a consultative selling process in a gym, whether it be a jiu-jitsu gym or a CrossFit gym, you should always have them fill something out. And the reason why is not to just create formality, but because it's kind of like walking to a doctor's office, right? When someone walks in, they have you fill out the thing at the doctor's office. It's kind of like the doctor's office is taking control, and they're asking you to do things. And for you, it kind of gets you in a different mindset of okay, I'm here to be honest and open. And so usually what we would do at our gym, and what I would recommend for a jiu-jitsu gym, what we had other jiu-jitsu gyms do, is when they sign it, when they come in, just because they're entering the space, hey, while you're here, just go ahead and fill out this waiver real quick and answer the few questions that are on it. Or what we would do in the CrossFit gym is we had a little sign-in thing that would say write your name down, write the time that you're here, and sign it, right? And that's what we would do. And it was just a little thing that most people didn't think twice about, but it it like, rather than them being like halfway in the door, they're signing in as if they're here to talk to someone. It now makes it more official, right? So it takes the conversation from being a casual conversation to being like a conversation they're opting in to have. So I would first have them, like, basically opt in for the conversation when they walk in the door. Have them fill out your waiver with some questions on it, or have them fill out, a sign-in sheet, something, and say, have a seat over there, right? Send them to the area where they're going to be sitting down and talk to you, and send them to that area. Now, I know we're spending a lot of time here talking about just getting them in the door, but honestly, like, that will change your close rates and your conversion rates considerably just in how you greet somebody and what you tell them to do in the first minute they walk in the door. Hey, you're here, welcome, my name is Will. Are you here for your appointment? Yes, right? Always ask them those questions. Are you here for your appointment? Yes, right? And the reason why is I like to get people saying yes. A lot of this is psychological. I like to get people saying yes as soon as they walk in the door to me, and as many yeses as I can get. Okay, you're here for your appointment? Okay, cool. Have you filled, go ahead and fill out the form here, and then once you fill it out, go ahead and grab a seat over there, and I'll be right with you, right? Because it's like you're giving them commands and subliminally, like, taking a position of control in the conversation, which is what they want. When someone comes into a business to do business with you for the first time, and they're looking to submit to the process, and when they remain in control of the process, people often don't do well with things that they don't know a lot about, right? They'll tug and pull for control. So you generally want to have them yield when they walk in the door, especially in a place where, like, there's a mastership and apprenticeship type of relationship, like a jiu-jitsu gym. A jiu-jitsu gym is generally like a master and an apprentice, right? You have a black belt, usually, or a brown belt at least, usually training a bunch of white belts, and other people have belts below than them. And there's this, even in some martial arts studios, call them master, right? Like, so you generally want to, people are looking for that. So give them that experience when they walk in the door. So I would say, like, right away, there's that, okay? Don't appreciate that process, right? Okay, now when sitting down in the no sweat intro process, I would say that it's pretty similar in structure to what I would do for a CrossFit gym. And I would say, JP here said most jiu-jitsu gyms don't have a no sweat intro process whatsoever. You'll be ahead of the game no matter what. The process is going to be same for any fitness or jiu-jitsu gym's facility. Yes, I agree 100%. In that, like, most jiu-jitsu gyms I've walked into, because it's very early. I mean, jiu-jitsu gyms have been around a long time, but as far as, like, its growth, it's only been the last couple years, and it's very recent. And most jiu-jitsu gyms right now are in a similar boom phase to where CrossFit was in 2012 to 2014, where, like, most of the gyms were ran by practitioners and not business owners. And the practitioners were the business owners, but they didn't run them like business owners. Very casual, right? And I remember when I owned my gyms back then, in the early days of CrossFit, we implemented a consultative selling process, even though the other gyms in the area weren't. And we actually grew faster, we kept our members longer, and we saw less of the downside as CrossFit came off of its mainstream peak. And we continued to grow because in business in general, a consultative selling process is always going to allow you to sell for more value and build more value with the client. And how someone starts something is generally how they will continue to use something, right? So, like, sitting down and doing a proper consultative selling process is huge. So if I were to go into, I don't know, let me just pull up a Canva whiteboard here, and actually we'll use let's do this. Let's use Figma here. Okay, and we're gonna pull up a little Fig Jam board so we can do a little mind mapping of this here. And let's just say we have a here we go, consultative selling process for BJJ Gym. Okay, cool. Now, if we were to lay out the processes of any consultative selling process, any really, really good high converting sales process, it's going to involve a couple things. And if we were going to say number one, what would it be? It would be, rapport building. When you sit, to sit down and build rapport. Okay. Now, what are the stages of that? Let's go ahead and pull this in here. And we're going to just color code this. We're going to say that this is, no, don't want to do that. We want to change this to red. And we're going to make this a little smaller. And we're going to say, greeting. And then start with small talk. And what I mean by small talk, that includes, like, are you from the area? Like small talk is, do you live in the area? What area do you live in? Just finding out like who they are, where'd they come from, why they're here, those things, right? So, where do you live? Do you live in the Arcadia neighborhood, or you live in Old Town? Where we live, those are some neighborhoods in our area. Like, you saying those things, people are like, oh, I live in Arcadia. Oh, cool, awesome, man. Like, I live in Arcadia too. That's super cool, right? Like, just building common ground. Like, again, don't underappreciate or undersell like these parts of the process, right? Like, oh, okay, cool. Did you go to a BJJ gym before? Like, where? I guess questions here. We'll just list these. Where do you live? What neighborhood? Make this bigger here. What neighborhood? Just moved here. Were you at, a previous gym? What kind of things have you been doing? Okay, so what you're doing here is you're doing two things, right? So when a good example is like car sales, right? Like most people don't enjoy the process of going to buy a car. Some people do, but some people don't like necessarily enjoy the I guess you could say the dealing with the salesman, right? Like a lot of people think salesmen are going to take advantage of them, right? And most salesmen that are good salesmen that build repeatable books of business don't take advantage of their people. It's the ones that aren't long in the game that take advantage of people because they're in it for the quick money, right? And most people at most good dealerships with good reputations are going to take care of you. And the way that they're going to do that is they're going to, early in the conversation, help to take that anxiety down level by asking you some of these questions, because they want you to feel comfortable in the process. They're not trying to. They want you to say, hey, it's okay to do business with us here. We're not going to take advantage of you. You're going to get a fair deal. We have to make money too, but you're going to get a fair deal. Right? It's the same thing in gyms that everybody thinks, oh, $200 a month, that they're just trying to make money. It's blah, 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 blah. They can't think of the reasons why, where the value is, right? So there's that, okay? So now we're going to duplicate this. What's the next step in the process, right? So we're going to copy this. We're going to paste it. We'll pull it over here. We're going to say, next step in the process is to, get into their desired situation, right? And anything that has to do with sales, you want to find out why they're here. Okay, so if we do that here, okay, desired situation, goals. One of my favorite questions to ask people in goal setting is like, if things went well here, where do you see yourself in 2 to 3 years? Because that's about how long we want our clients to be members, right? So like you're kind of future pacing. You're like kind of putting them in visualization in like people achieving their goals, and also like what they do in the future is like one of the most powerful forms of like helping someone accomplish their goals. So ideally they're seeing themselves like earning their blue belt in the next 2 years or something like that, right? So you want them to say something like that. Well, next 2 to 3 years, I see myself earning my blue belt, making some really cool friends, learning how to do a certain thing. And so they're visualizing themselves at your business in the next 2 to 3 years, which is like if you keep a big client for 36 months, that's a really good client. At $200 a month, that's $7,200 your business is going to make on that client without the upsells, right? So that's a desired situation, right? And then right here, third step here, we are going to get into this, is, what are you currently doing, which you may have asked earlier in the doing about it. You can ask that question there. And then from there is where you kind of talk a little bit about your program, right? So you break it down. Program, expectations, how often, how it works, how often they should expect to show up. Okay. Here, next step, what's included. So build value, right? And ideally, I would highly recommend you go into our school here and you go into the classroom, and in the pro group trainings is our scripts. And these scripts right here, print them out. The document is here. Follow the video, print them out, and edit them, and go through these with the client. Because these literally go through these slides. You print them out, laminate them, and you have one, and the prospect has one, and you go through them together and you answer these questions here. And the last slide is going to build value, right? It's going to basically stack all the things they get, and you're going to basically productize your service. So productizing a service, productized service is like taking all these service elements that are like hard to quantify and quantifying them and stacking the value of each of them on top of each other. So if you say, what you're going to get, and this is before you talk about price, before you talk about price, is you stack that value, right? You go over, you get this and it's worth X. You get this and it's worth X. You get this and it's worth X. So as you can see, this is all, it should feel like they're getting $1,000 worth a month worth of service. They know they're not going to pay that, but you build that value so they see what they're getting, right? And then down here, what I like to do before I go for the close, okay, before I ask them, hey, would you like to do business with me, is are there any questions? And I always emphasize the any questions, before we talk about timelines and pricing, are there any questions about what I shared with you? And I recommend saying that this is a very, very strong pre-close. I would highly recommend you say this almost verbatim. Okay, so we covered all the bases. Just to recap, you get X, Y, and Z with your membership. Before we talk about the timelines and pricing, but before we do, are there any questions about what I share with you today? The reason why is you want to basically ask them to object now, right? Like, because people will object after the price and use whatever that unanswered question is as a way to, they'll attach the decision for the price with that question, right? So like, I would recommend doing a clearing before you go into price. Okay, like that's what you're gonna do. And I'm just gonna clean these up real quick here. Okay. That. Okay. And then, and if they say no or answer whatever the question is, okay, cool. Let's discuss getting started. Okay. There. Okay. Now, what I like to do here is pretty much like give the pricing options, and I'm a big fan of which one, not yes or no. So I would structure your pricing menu to be like the one we give you in the training. So we have the pricing menu stuff down here that you would pull out. You would hold on to this. You would not give this to the client. You would pull this out. And I think it's somewhere in here under sales maybe. It's one of these. I would have a good, better, and best, or gold, silver, silver, gold, platinum. And the goal is to try to sell the middle one. You know what I mean? And there's a great book on this called Rationally Predictable. It talks a lot about pricing structures. And what you should always have on a menu, like when they talk about, in this book, they talk about TVs, when they sell TVs. They always have 3 options. Most brands have 3 options. A lot of brands have like 30 options. But in like one single line of TV, one model of TV, they'll have 3 offerings. They'll have a low, a middle, and a high. And the low will be like $600 for like the 65-inch TV. The middle, or the high, will be like $5,000. It'll be like 10x the price for the best version of that TV. So you'll have the low for $500, you'll have the high for $5,000. And then they'll take the middle one, and they'll make it like $1,500. And they'll make the $1,500 one skews more towards the price of the low one, but has 90% of the features of the high-end one. And that $1,500 TV is the TV that has a big profit margin, and it also is the one they sell the most of because of the way the pricing is structured based on the anchoring of the high one and the anchoring of the low one. So you should have a good, better, best, or a low, middle, high. And you should have a high that has some sort of personal element to it of like, hey, if you want a one-on-one coach or trainer or master or what do they call instructor, or teacher to spend 3 sessions or a session a week with you for the next 2 months, that'll be $1,000 a month. And then you have a low, which will be like probably what you sell now, your base membership, $150 a month, and then you might have like something that's, that plus, right? Or it might be, low could be like if you sign up for 12 months, commit to 12 months, it's X. And then if you sign up for 6 months, it's X or whatever, something like that. So you're going to want to definitely structure your pricing so you have a good, better, best. I recommend you could do that with your term memberships. You could be good, better, best, month to month is X, and that's really high. And then you have 12 month is the low, and that's the lowest one. So say your 12 month is 175 and you put your month to month up at 250. And then you could say, hey, or you could sign up for a 6 month for 195. So it skews towards the 175, but you're also not, most people are going to sign up for that one because of the way that it's skewed in the pricing. So you get a 6 month membership out at 195. So I'd put your month to month up high enough to anchor, right? So that's what I would do. You go over the pricing options and then you say which one, not a yes or no. Because if you just say, hey, our price is X per month, the options are yes or no. Do I want to do it or do I not? But if you say, X, Y, Z, which one would you like? And then you, very, very important here, most important step in all of closing, be quiet until they speak. Okay? Let them think. Let them look at it. Don't say anything. It might be awkward for a minute. They might even, but make sure you ask a question. And, this is the A, B, C, D. This one comes with this. This one comes with this. This one comes with this. Which one would you like? Or say, does that make... Well, I'll say... What I often say if I think about my close, I'll say, does that make sense? Do these options make sense to you? Because I want a yes. And of course they're going to say yes because I went through it thoroughly. Okay, cool. Let me know what questions you have. And I will be quiet, So I'll ask, just to draw this out, do these options make sense? Yes. Okay. Let me know what questions you have. And then be quiet until they speak. Okay? If you do this well, you're probably going to close. You're probably going to close like 90% of the people you talk to for a jiu-jitsu gym, especially right now with how in demand it is and how popular it is. I think most people are going to. And I would skew high on your pricing because we watched it happen with CrossFit gyms where like in the early days all of them underpriced themselves. All of them were like $120 a month, $130 a month, and then Orange Theory came in and charged like double that. F45s came in and charged like double that, and also sold way more people per location. The average Orange Theory gyms have like 500 plus people paying like $250 a month. The average F45s have like 200 people, 200 to 400 people paying like $200, $225 a month. And CrossFit gyms for years, without having any competition, underpriced themselves. So don't do that with jiu-jitsu offerings. I would anchor on the high side, even if your market is competitive, because at the end of the day, if you're better at lead gen and you have a good sales process, if you do this, you're going to close them. They're going to go to the other gym. The other gym's going to be like, hi, how many do you want? And they're going to be like, oh, I'm going to go talk to the other guys, right? Like, so don't worry about that. Sell from strength. That's another note I'll put in here. If I had to put something in here, is sell from strength. Don't underprice and undervalue yourself. Okay, I would say like jiu-jitsu gyms right now, shouldn't position their offering, at any less than like for their mid-range offering, like your 6 month offering, if you're offering a term membership, for less than like $195 anywhere in the country. And the reason why is because you have limited mat space. And with a process like this, and with good client acquisition systems, like using our systems and Gymnetics and all that stuff, you should not have a problem beating the competition in regards to getting in front of people. I would definitely make sure your local search is very optimized, because most other jiu-jitsu gyms in the area are probably not going to optimize for that. And ultimately, most people looking for a jiu-jitsu gym are probably just going to search for it. And if you're coming up at the top for those searches for jiu-jitsu and martial arts, then you have a good client acquisition system with Gymnetics and the stuff that we build in the funnel in, and you have a good follow-up system, and you have good sales approach, the competition is going to be irrelevant, right? So sell from strength. Don't underprice yourself. Have a good client acquisition system and funnel. Okay, that's what I would focus on. Otherwise, like, this works the same whether you're selling high ticket potato chips or cars or gym memberships or jiu-jitsu or anything. And I can tell you that because I've used this same process from selling high ticket landscape services to selling e-com products to selling gym memberships myself across 2 locations over a decade to selling high ticket online B2B programs. It's really the same process no matter what it is. So if you have any follow-up questions, be sure to put them in the comments below. If this was valuable to you, like, comment, share, and subscribe if you're watching this on any of our public channels, should we put this video out there for you guys that are not active clients to see it. So that's it, guys. Thanks. Bye.